All right, it's the last day of vacation, and we are here at Camp Flea Antiques in, where are we at? Ozark, Missouri. We are traveling home today, and there's a couple antique shops. We've been to this one about a year ago, picked up some comics, but we're gonna take a look and see if there's some other comics we can find here, as well as a couple other shops that are just around the corner. So let's head inside. So walking out with 3 comics, and they fit my theme so far of this trip. We actually stopped one place the first day, and I picked up a few books, but one in particular. But I'm gonna hold off on telling you exactly what that theme is. I've got 3 books here, and we're getting ready to head to the next spot. Let's check it out. All right, next up is Ozark Antique and Collectibles. This is another spot I've been in the past. And if I remember correctly, they had some pretty nice comics in a front display cabinet and a bunch of booths with comics, so let's get in and check it out. out there, or did not look out there. Didn't come away with anything. The wife found some jewelry and some shoes, I think. But I think we're gonna hit up maybe one more spot before we head home. Let's see what we can find here. Hopefully something. All right, so that was a look at some of the antique shops and flea markets that we stopped in at on our vacation. And as you could see, it was like a mix of a lot of different types of eras and books in general that were available. There were all sorts of titles there, everything from your standard Marvel, DC, Image, and those types of things to independents mixed in there as well. And these books were in all sorts of conditions and in display types. You know, we had books that were in short boxes and long boxes you could flip through, but then there were just some laid out on shelves. Books that were bagged and boarded, some that were in like Ziploc bags to be displayed, saran wrap, you name it, everything was there. And on our way to vacation, we actually stopped at one of the shops ahead of time to kind of bargain and negotiate with our kids and say, hey, if we stop at this place on the way there before vacation, it's one less place we have to stop on the way home. So that was kind of our bargaining chip there. And I actually picked up a few books at that first stop. So the night before we got to this location, I was looking on the local Facebook and Craigslist, things like that, to see if there were any local comic shops or any comic book ads that I could find. And there happened to be an ad for one of these antique malls that was really close, and they had just added a bunch of comics to their booth. So we headed to this location the next morning, and they were really the only vendor that had comic books at their booth. Now, the cool thing was they were running a kind of a special. I don't know if they run it just temporarily or if it's something they do all the time, but it was if you spend $25 on their comics, you get 25% off of your purchase. So that was a pretty good deal in my opinion. And I picked up a few books to make that $25 limit to get the extra percentage off. So let's go ahead and take a look. I actually spent only $29 on all of these comics. All right, first up is a minor key, and that is Spectacular Spider-Man number 25. This is the first appearance of Contagion. Like I said, a very minor key, but a book that I didn't have in my Spectacular Spider-Man run. And another book I picked up in that run is Spectacular Spider-Man 141, a nice Punisher cover here. Next up is X-Men 258. This is a Jim Lee cover and Chris Claremont story. Then I picked up actually 2 copies of Ms. Mystic number 1 from PC Comics. And the cool thing about this is it is not only a Neil Adams cover, but he did all of the writing, the inking, the penciling in this comic. And I picked up, like I said, 2 copies of this Origin issue. It's one I had never heard of, but I thought it was a pretty cool issue to pick up, especially I think I paid like maybe $2, $3 a piece on these, and they were in pretty nice shape. So one of the books that I picked up first off from this vendor out of one of their locked short boxes from one of the cabinets was this Major In-A-Pack, the Space Ace number 1. Now I actually think I picked up a copy of this semi-recently, but for $6, this was kind of just a cool Golden Age number 1 comic. I really liked the dark black cover on this, along with some of the other colors. This was actually kind of like a promo comic for a maybe like a cereal or a milk of some sort. I don't know the exact story. Just a quick Google search gave me some info that it was a promo comic, but I didn't do too much looking into it. I just thought it was kind of a cool cover and a really nice price at just $6. And then the comic that I am the most excited about picking up on this entire trip is one with a cover from an artist that I have really enjoyed picking up comics from recently, and that is Vanguard Illustrated number 2. It's another PC Comics here, but this has cover art by the amazing Dave Stevens. Now, if you aren't familiar with Dave Stevens, he has a lot of really familiar artwork on covers, some really iconic stuff. Probably the most iconic, I would say, is Planet Comics number 1, but he also created and did the artwork for Rocketeer. I've been picking up Dave Stevens comics lately, anything that I can find for a reasonable price, whether it's comics with his art on the cover or inside. I just can't get enough of his artwork. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it. You when you see it, you spot it right away. And that's kind of the story with this one. You know, I was flipping through this long box and I just saw the art and it was just like instantly recognized that Dave Stevens work. You see his signature on there with the date underneath it from 1983. I'm super pumped to have this and add it to my collection. So those were the books that I picked up at that first stop at the beginning of our trip. And I thought, man, this is an amazing start to our vacation. And I can't wait to visit the other shops later on in the week. All right, so on our way back home, like I said, we did stop at a few more locations. And here is what I picked up. Now, I mentioned in that intro that there was kind of a theme to this trip, and that just happens to be Dave Stevens artwork because I'm no Dave Stevens expert by any means, but I did know that he had some artwork in the DC Who's Who comic book series. And the first one that he had artwork in is the June 1985 edition. These Who's Who's are kind of like encyclopedias or phone books, right, of DC characters. This one goes from Cadre all the way down to Chris KL99. And the character that Dave did artwork for in this issue is actually Catwoman. And I'm gonna throw that on the screen here so that you can take a look at it. It's just a single illustration of Catwoman along with some information with her bio and things like that. But I thought that was a really cool find at this location. Not only did he do artwork in that issue, but he also did artwork in the September 85 edition, and in this one he did artwork for Dolphin. This is another just amazing piece of art. If you're not familiar with the original Dolphin cover, I'm going to throw it up on the screen here and you can kind of compare Dave's work to the original. And then last up is the final Who's Who that Dave had artwork in, and in this one he did an illustration of Phantom Lady. All right, well, this was a really fun vacation trip that we went on, and I was surprised at the amount of Dave Stevens comics that I picked up on this trip. It was definitely not something I was expecting to have happen at all. I didn't get to stop at some of the comic shops in a large city. When we were traveling, we just had other plans and it didn't work out for us. And then I didn't get to go to that, one local comic book shop in the town we were staying in. So my expectations for this trip were kind of low, other than, getting that initial cover on the first day out there. That was just kind of amazing. And I thought, well, that's going to be a one-off. But then finding these later DC Who's Who magazines really made the trip worth it. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favorite artist or artists, whether that's, a cover artist, someone that does variant covers or something like that. Let me know your favorite artist in the comment section below. Also, be sure to give this video a like if you enjoy these comic book haul and hunting videos. It's something that I'm going to try and do more of as I'm just out and about and around. I don't always have my camera gear with me. This one was obviously filmed on just my cell phone because I didn't have my nice camera right here with me at the time, and it's just kind of bulky to bring around into shops and things like that. But let me know if you like this kind of content because I will be sure to make more of it in the future. And speaking of the future, make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell to make sure that you see my next video when it becomes available. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.